The aftermath of the Diddy trial was already a seismic moment in pop culture and legal history, but it didn't take long for the spotlight to shift once again, this time onto Christian King Combs, the eldest son of the embattled music mogul. Just days after the jury reached its verdict in one of the most high-profile cases of the decade, a private video allegedly featuring Christian Combs and model Raven Tracy surfaced online, igniting a firestorm of controversy that would dominate headlines, social media feeds, and public discourse. The video, which appeared to show intimate moments between the two individuals, was shared without their consent and rapidly spread across platforms like TikTok, Twitter, now X, Instagram, and various gossip forums. Despite efforts by both parties to have the content taken down, the footage continued to circulate widely, exposing millions to what was clearly meant to be a private exchange. The leak came at a particularly sensitive time, just as the world was digesting the implications of Diddy's legal fate, and many couldn't help but connect the dots, speculating whether this was part of a coordinated effort to further tarnish the Combs family name, or simply another example of how fame often comes at the cost of personal privacy. Public reaction was immediate and polarized. Some fans and supporters took to social media to condemn the unauthorized release of the video, calling it a gross violation of privacy and a predatory act that exploited two individuals who had done nothing to invite such exposure. Hashtags like Protect Privacy and Stop Revenge Porn trended briefly, with advocates urging people not to share or engage with the content. Others, however, were less sympathetic. Critics argued that Christian Combs, as a public figure who grew up in the glare of celebrity thanks to his father's prominence, should have known better than to allow such a video to exist in the first place. They questioned his judgment, pointing out that being in the public eye often requires a heightened sense of discretion, especially when it comes to matters of intimacy. Raven Tracy, meanwhile, found herself thrust into an unwanted spotlight. Known primarily for her work in modeling and entertainment circles, she had previously maintained a relatively low-key presence compared to some of her more visible peers. But now she was at the center of a global scandal, one that many saw as deeply unfair. Supporters rallied around both individuals, emphasizing that regardless of their status, they deserved the right to privacy and autonomy over their personal lives. Legal experts also weighed in, noting that the distribution of such content without consent could carry serious legal consequences, including potential criminal charges depending on jurisdiction and intent. As the story unfolded, speculation ran rampant about the origins of the leak. Was it the result of a hacked device, a betrayal by someone close, or perhaps an intentional act of retaliation? Fans and conspiracy theorists alike began dissecting every possible angle, trying to piece together the truth behind the leak. Some suggested that the timing was too coincidental to ignore, that the release may have been orchestrated to coincide with the end of the Diddy trial, ensuring maximum attention and damage. Others believed it was simply another unfortunate consequence of living in an era where digital privacy is increasingly difficult to maintain, especially for those in the public eye. Christian Combs, for his part, remained largely silent in the early hours following the leak. His representatives issued a brief statement condemning the release of the video and requesting that it not be shared further, but beyond that, he did not publicly address the situation. That silence, however, only fueled further criticism from those who felt he should have taken a stronger stance, not just in defending himself but in standing up for Raven Tracy as well. Many questioned why he hadn't immediately spoken out in support of her, given the emotional toll such exposure can have on victims of privacy breaches. Others speculated that he may have been advised by legal counsel to avoid making any public statements until the full scope of the situation could be assessed. Meanwhile, Raven Tracy's team issued a similar statement, expressing deep disappointment and frustration over the invasion of privacy. Her representatives emphasized that the video was never intended for public consumption and that its release constituted a serious breach of trust. They also hinted at the possibility of legal action against those responsible for distributing the content illegally. However, proving liability in such cases can be extremely challenging, especially if the source remains anonymous or operates outside the jurisdiction of U.S. courts. Still, pursuing legal recourse was seen as a necessary step, not just for justice but also as a deterrent for others who might consider engaging in similar behavior. As the conversation evolved, it expanded beyond just the actions of Christian Combs and Raven Tracy. Commentators began dissecting the broader cultural landscape that enables these kinds of leaks, highlighting the role of social media algorithms, the insatiable demand for scandalous content, and the lack of accountability for those who share such material without consent. There were renewed calls for stronger protections against non-consensual pornography, with activists using the incident to push for legislative changes and increased awareness about digital privacy rights. Within the entertainment industry, the incident sparked internal conversations about how young celebrities navigate relationships under the pressure of constant surveillance. Several high-profile figures spoke out anonymously about the challenges of maintaining any semblance of normalcy in romantic relationships when every move is scrutinized and recorded. They emphasized the importance of discretion, secure communication methods, and mutual understanding of the risks involved in being in the public eye. Backlash against Christian Combs intensified as more people joined the conversation. Critics accused him of hypocrisy, citing his previous image as a well-mannered, polished young man who often represented his family in public appearances. His reputation as a responsible and respectful figure seemed to clash with the nature of the leaked video, leading some to question whether his persona was carefully curated for public consumption. Others defended him, pointing out that everyone makes mistakes and that it was unfair to judge someone based on a single moment captured out of context. The narrative surrounding Raven Tracy also evolved during this time. While some segments of the public expressed sympathy for her, others turned the focus back onto her own past decisions, digging through her social media history in search of inconsistencies or prior incidents that might justify the backlash. This kind of character assassination is unfortunately common in cases like these, where victims of privacy breaches are subjected to invasive scrutiny rather than receiving support. It underscored the double standard that often exists when it comes to how men and women are treated in scandals involving sexuality and privacy. Amidst the chaos, Christian finally broke his silence during a rare appearance at a charity event. Speaking briefly to reporters, he stated, "This has been a difficult time for me and my loved ones. I ask for privacy and respect as we deal with this situation." He did not elaborate further, nor did he mention Raven Tracy directly, which led to further criticism from those who felt he should have taken a stronger stance in defending her. Some interpreted his measured response as a sign of maturity, while others saw it as evasive or emotionally detached. Legal teams on both sides reportedly began preparing for possible lawsuits related to the leak, including potential claims for damages against whoever was responsible for the initial distribution of the video. Experts noted that proving liability in such cases can be extremely challenging, especially if the source remains anonymous or operates outside the jurisdiction of U.S. courts. Still, pursuing legal action was seen as a necessary step to send a message about the seriousness of digital privacy violations. As the weeks passed, the story began to fade from mainstream headlines, though it continued to simmer in online communities and fan forums. Discussions about consent, digital ethics, and celebrity culture persisted, with educators and advocates using the incident as a cautionary tale in workshops and awareness campaigns. For Christian Combs and Raven Tracy, the ordeal served as a painful but perhaps transformative experience, one that would undoubtedly shape their future choices and interactions in the public sphere. Ultimately, the fallout from the leaked video underscored the immense pressure faced by children of celebrities, who must constantly balance their personal lives with the expectations of a global audience. Christian King Combs, once viewed primarily as the heir to a legendary entertainment empire, now found himself navigating a complex web of identity, responsibility, and resilience in the face of unprecedented scrutiny. For Raven Tracy, the experience was equally defining. Whether she chooses to continue in the public eye or retreat into a more private life remains to be seen, but the incident has left an indelible mark on her journey. Together, their story serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of living in a world where privacy is increasingly elusive and where even the most intimate moments can be weaponized in an instant. As society continues to grapple with the implications of digital exposure and the ethics of voyeuristic content, cases like this will remain relevant and deeply impactful. The calls for change grow louder with each new scandal, and perhaps in time, meaningful progress will be made toward protecting individuals from the kind of harm inflicted by unauthorized leaks. Until then, the lessons learned from the Christian Combs and Raven Tracy saga will linger as a warning, a lesson, and a reflection of the times we live in.